Hello everyone, this is Bill McFadden from Tone Pure Music, and in this video we're going to do a comparison between the 8 top brass solo libraries, and we'll be looking at the trumpet, solo, horns, trombone, and tuba, in particular the legato, which is what you want when you're doing a solo primarily. So we'll go ahead and start. Actually, there's one thing I wanted to mention. There is the Chris Hines solo brass is excellent, but it's not included in this. But these are the other top 8. So let's go ahead and get started. So here we have the VSL trumpet. And let's jump down to the 8DO trumpet. And here's the Cinebrass. And the Spitfire trumpet. The Orchestral Tools trumpet. East-West trumpet. And this is the sample modeling trumpet. And this would be the Symphony series by Native Instruments trumpet. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the interfaces, and then we'll get into the French horns. So getting back to the VSL, here's the interface we see, and I have a little cue. So that's a little arpeggio MIDI thing that I wrote. Okay, so here's the 8DO 8th century brass, and this is what their interface looks like, and we'll have it play the same pattern. So here we go. And then we'll go ahead and take a look at the Cinebrass trumpet interface. And here's their trumpet playing the same pattern. And then we'll go ahead and take a look at the Spitfire interface. And we'll have them play it. And then we'll move down to the Orchestral Tools trumpet. And then the East-West. And then down to the sample modeling. Oh, actually, I didn't bring up the interface on the East-West. Let's take a quick look at that. So here's your interface. And one of the things I noticed as it was playing, have two mic positions on close and stage. it looked like we could increase the release on that. So here are all of your controls. Have your pan mic positions. We could add in the surround samples, which might have a longer release, so that just put them in. So here you have your release. Now let's go ahead and listen to them. Since I increased the release on that, let's hear the difference. Okay, there's just something that doesn't quite sound right with that particular sample there. And here's the sample modeling, and your interface looks like this. Actually, there are a lot of different options that you have, but this is the basic interface. And we'll go ahead and rewind and play the cue again. And then we have the Symphony series, and here's the interface for that. So we'll go ahead and rewind and play the cue again for that. Okay, so let's move on to the French horns. And we'll start with the VSL, Vienna Symphonic Library Solo French Horn. And we'll go ahead and play the arpeggio cue in the range of the French horn. So here's the interface, and what it does, depending on how fast you play, it will change from legato to legato fast. So if I play a little faster, a really nice feature of the Vienna Symphonic Library. And most of the instruments in the Vienna Symphonic Library have that feature. Let's move on to the French horn for 8DO. Oops, hit the wrong button. And here's the 8DO interface, and we'll go ahead and play the cue. Actually, I'm waiting for it to rewind. There it goes. Okay, then we'll go to the Cinebrass French horn. And then we'll move on to the Spitfire French horn. And then the orchestral tools. And then we'll move down to the east-west. And then we'll go to the sample modeling French horn. Oh, let's go back to the, well, we'll do that and then we'll go back and look at the interface. So here's the sample modeling interface for the French horn, very similar to the one for the trumpet. And here's what that sounds like. And then we have the Spitfire French horn. And here's our interface. And then after the Spitfire, oh, sorry, that was Symphony series French horn. Okay, sorry about that. As you can see, we go to the performance window. There's your brass solo Symphony series. And then we looked at the French horn interface for sample modeling. And then the east-west interface looks like so. Or again, your release control, which comes in handy a lot of times, especially for strings. Get a more natural sound. And then in the orchestral tools, there's your interface, and then you have your mic positions here, and I've just been using the tree mic, the default position for most of them. Sometimes I would put in an additional mic, especially in the east-west, to bring them up to par with the other libraries, sounding fuller. And then we have the let's see. There's a French horn. Then the let's see what we got here. Yeah, Spitfire. What's confusing me is I usually go SF for Spitfire. But so here's the interface for that. Notice we're using the Legato patch. And by default, they have a little bit of the tree and a little bit of the close on. And then in the French horn for Cinebrass, we're using the full mix, which it defaults to. And then in the French horn, the 8DO solo. As you see, we have a Legato patch. We're using the mix mic, which is defaults to. And of course, you have, in addition, close, deck, and wide. And a lot of these libraries, we're just using one. Sometimes they have multiple French horn patches and so on. So we're just trying to keep it somewhat concise. Not by any means saying one library is more complete than another. Some of them are basic, but they all have the solo horns and the solo trombones, the solo tubas, and the solo trumpets. So if you need to pull those instruments out, all these libraries will work. And we looked at the interface for the VSL French horn. I mean, it's the interface for the VSL is amazing in other ways. I mean, this is just one of the presets. It's level 1. And with level 1, you have this preset that changes. Then you have all these articulations. staccato, pianoforte, piano, and then you have loud, flutter tongue, and so on. And when you click over to basic, you can see the actual articulation, flatter they call it. And then you have flatter crescendo. And, you know, I don't want to make this a tutorial just on, here's your portamento. Actually, it's not portamento, it's portato. But anyway, we don't want to get, I'm just trying to keep it a brief comparison. It's easy to get into the details. So let's go ahead and take a look at the trombone, starting with VSL. So here's the interface, and as you can see, it's the same kind of, it's preset level 1. It gives you a variance between legato, and this is legato with vibrato. Then it goes to so no vibrato, and then if you play it fast, that's legato fast. So anyway, let's listen to an arpeggio cue for that. So here we go, rewinding to the beginning of the cue. And then let's go to the 8-dio century brass. And here's your interface for that. And then we'll go to the next one up, center brass trombone. I'll play the cue. Let's get the interface up. So here's your interface. Here's the cue. And now we'll go down to the Spitfire trombone. And here's the cue. Let's get the interface up. So in this case, it looks like it's a sustained patch that we're looking at here. Actually, yeah, it's a long sustained patch. So in the Spitfire trombone, I noticed they had the long, but the only legato patch I could find is a legato for 2 tenor trombones, which is interesting because we have the legato patch for the tuba as well as French horn as well as a trumpet. So it looks like they left out the legato patch for the single tenor trombone. So that being said, let's go ahead and listen to the tenor trombone, the 2 of them, and see what that sounds like. Okay, and so moving along to the orchestral tools trombone. And then pulling up the interface, we see again just the tree mic. So let's listen to the arpeggios. So that's the orchestral tools, and then we can go to the east-west trombone for comparison, and the interface looks like that. And then we have the sample modeling trombone. Here's the interface for that. Very similar to the other interfaces. And here's the cue. And then we have the Symphony series. Here's the interface for that. And here's the cue. And then let's take a look at the tubas. So here you have the VSL tuba. There's your interface. And here's an arpeggio for the tuba. So let's move along to the 8DO tuba. So here we go. Let's go ahead and play the cue. And the interface looks like this. So you see I have the, actually in this case it looks like the closed and deca are chosen in terms of mic positions. Let's move down to the Cinebrass. And here's the interface for that coming up. So we're using the mix, the full mix mic setting. And we do have closed room and surround as well. So let's go ahead and play the cue on that. And then we have the Spitfire tuba. And here's the interface. So as you see, we have a little bit of the close and tree in legato. And let's go ahead and play the cue. And then we have the orchestral tools from the Berlin string series. That sounds like this. And then we also have romantic, which gives you more of a vibrato. you can see, we just have the tree mic default patch. And then we have the east-west tuba. Let's hear that. And here's your interface. So, sounds good. And that's with close and stage selected. We could also add surround. And then we have the sample modeling. Let's go ahead and listen to that. And here's the interface, similar to the others. And here you have all these various pages, like here's your dynamics, you have vibrato intensity. So, nice feature. And of course, the Spitfire has adjustable vibrato as well. They're sort of noted for that. So let's go ahead and listen to the cue. And then last is the Symphony series by Native Instruments. Now this library specifically just has these 4 patches in an ensemble patch. The sample modeling or specific solo libraries individually. And of course the East-West has many patches, as do the Spitfire. I mean, massive amount of patches and articulations, as well as Cinebrass, same thing, 8DO, and all the other ones basically. The VSL, massive number of patches and articulations. So all the way down the list. The only one that really is just sort of dedicated is the Orchestral Tools, has a massive amount of patches. The only dedicated ones are the sample modeling and the Symphony series. They pretty much, now the sample modeling does have saxes as well. But, so let's go ahead and listen to the tuba. Here's the so it's a combination of a scale and arpeggios. So that gives you an overview of all of these solo instruments, and if you're considering purchasing one of these libraries, and you can compare them and bookmark where they start so you can hear the differences and pick the sound that you want, because they do have a different flavor, each of them. So this is Bill McFadden. If you like this video, please click like. If you wish to subscribe, please do. So Bill McFadden signing off from Tone Pure Music.